podcast back for another week. We have more people than just myself compared to last week doing a solo episode. We since it was just me last week, we had to add an extra one to balance it out. So we got Grant and Ethan, they're both back, and then joining us from the deep south, down the pride of Georgia, our good friend from the Armchair Banter and Roughing the Podcast, Hayden McDaniel. Hayden, welcome back on. It's the point of the year where we have reached the SEC preview here for us. We'll do the Big Ten next week, but we had to bring in the big guns, the guy that knows the SEC inside and out, and we bring Hayden on. So Hayden, welcome on. Now you are back in school. How many kids have you yelled at this year so far?
So far, I think 3 in 8 days. So that's actually about 3 in 8 days. I think I would say 3.
That's not bad.
Yeah, I mean,
so
honestly,
is yelling at kids is that like batting average? About like if you're batting about three yell at 3 kids in 9 days is batting 333. Is that like Hall of Fame level or?
Oh no.
What's the most early in the year that you've had to really get after some kids?
Probably last year, I would say. No. Yeah, probably last year. No. I take that back. About 4 years ago, I think I yelled at 15 kids in the span of 4 days, if I can remember. That might be saying it lightly.
Oof.
And it was like my first year at this school too. So it was like you were really trying to leave that impression. And by the end of the year, I was done there. Like I almost took a different career path after that.
That would have been like right after COVID too. So kids coming back to school and not knowing how to act. Yeah. That sounds about when my mom that was when she was about ready to quit at one point.
It was the first year where everybody was actually had no choice but to come back on campus. And so like these kids didn't know how to act or anything. So it took a while to get everybody back into that routine of having to be at school, and we were still telling them, hey, don't be so close to each other, don't touch each other, blah blah blah. You think we wouldn't have to do that in middle school, but yeah.
Oh yeah. But before we get to the SEC preview, I do have to tell a little bit of a story. I don't know if anybody who has been on Facebook or social media the last couple of days, I got to FaceTime the Vikings starting quarterback, national champion quarterback JJ McCarthy, which was quite the experience. I haven't even gotten to tell you guys the full story of it yet, but on Monday I'm at an account, and all of a sudden my buddy Ben, who avid listener of the show, I think he claims he doesn't, but we know he does because I'll get a text from him tomorrow when he listens, but starts FaceTiming, and I'm like, why is he FaceTiming me on a Monday? And instantly, like after I didn't answer it because I was in the middle of something, I was sitting there thinking, I'm like, oh, Dylan, you dumbass. Like because I knew he was at the Vikings training camp. I'm like, he probably had JJ McCarthy on FaceTime, and I was going to answer, and JJ was going to be right there saying, what's up? And I'm like, ah. So finish what I'm doing. I go back into my work vehicle, and I'm FaceTiming back. I'm like, you know what? Maybe he was FaceTiming to be stupid. Maybe it was actually worse. He's like, hey, man, you just missed it. I had JJ on FaceTime. I'm like, damn it. I knew it. I had a chance to say what's up to national champion winning quarterback, and I blew it. And then actually it worked out that he was still over by him, so he brought the phone back over. He's like, hey, this is the Michigan fan I was telling you about. And he's like, oh, hey, what's up, man? Go Blue. Which was also crazy because a week ago at about the same time, I was sitting in his locker at Michigan Stadium, and there was part of me that was like, if I actually did get to talk to him, I almost was just going to say I love you because he did win Michigan a national title, but I didn't. I just like, oh, hey, I sat in your locker last week. He's like, hey, you keep that clean for me. And that was about that was the extent of it. But it was exciting. It was it was a day maker, I'd say. I don't think I was smiling from ear to ear for quite a while with that one.
That's awesome. Like, that's just.
Well, and like it's kind of a fun surprise, Dylan. You know, like you said,
it was.
I'm not saying JJ's your hero, but anytime you can see someone that you look up to, that you have a lot of respect for, and you get to talk to him, even if it is just for a quick 30 seconds, you'll remember that for a long time, and that's cool.
For sure.
Yeah, I don't know if look up would be the right word because I am 8 years older for him, but I do have tremendous respect. He was a big part of turning that Michigan program around, because of his leadership, and he's gonna do it with the Vikings, no matter what any doubters say or questions they say. But fellas, let's get into it here. The SEC preview. We're gonna be team. We're gonna be buying their stock. A team we're gonna be selling their stock here, and as in traditional fashion, of course, the hat. So we like to surprise people here, so we're gonna be drawing hats, and I have my system here. With the first pick of the SEC, AFC, and NFC West East preview, and I'm all over the place.
Yeah, Hot Mess Express over there by Dylan.
Good Lord, get it together.
Sorry, I'd FaceTime my favorite Michigan quarterback of all time. I'm a little flustered right now, a little nervous.
Wow, he's got you feeling like this 48 hours later.
Yeah. First pick is going to be, it's going to be me. Second pick is going to be the team that kicked Grant's team's ass in the Super Bowl, the Eagles. So, Grant, you're second.
Nice.
And now it's going to be between Hayden and Ethan. Who is it? Oh, the team that came back from 28-3 in the Super Bowl.
Oof, though.
Sorry, Hayden. I didn't have any Braves MLB hats, so I couldn't do the Braves. And the caboose is the team that Ethan says is going to win the Super Bowl, the Miami Dolphins.
Nope.
Orwell said that he has higher. He thinks they're going to be better than what people are projecting. I'll say. But anyways, the team that I am buying the stock for the this year in the SEC, they were the team last year that I was selling their stock, and that's going to be the LSU Tigers. Now, they bring back a good starting quarterback in Garrett Nussmeier, a guy that's going to be a first-round pick probably in the 2026 NFL draft. And for somehow my notes app deleted all of my what I had written down for LSU.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. But they I don't know if you guys have watched the Any Given Saturday on Netflix following the SEC around. But they have some questions, but I think this Brian Kelly team, you usually see it takes a couple of years. They got to win their home opener, but it was about his fourth year where he was able to get Notre Dame over the hump. Same thing when he was at Cincinnati. It took about 3 or 4 years to establish his culture. I think he's really feeling a lot of pressure, similar to where he was at Notre Dame, where they were coming off not a great season, had a lot of turnovers. Really felt that pressure. That's really when you've seen Brian Kelly have some of his best seasons, is when there is a lot of pressure on him and it's a lot of put up or shut up. I think he feels that. I think defensively, last year they were a little bit better, but I think they're going to be better. They have the Weeks brothers, and then all SEC or returner Ashton Stamps, and they also went out and signed the top portal class in all of college football to help that defense out, because I think offensively they're going to be rolling again like they've had since Brian Kelly has been there. But I think defensively, I think year 2 under Blake Baker, I think they're going to be better. And and Hayden's dog disagrees with me, but I got the LSU Tigers as the team. I'm buying their stock.
And Dylan, add to that, you get Harold Perkins Jr. coming back off a torn ACL last year.
That is
Yep.
true.
And anytime you can get a player of his caliber back on your defense, that is only going to help immensely.
I agree. As much as I hate LSU, and as much as I hate to think about the fact that they're probably going to be one of the best teams in the SEC this year, I have to agree. I had honestly forgotten about Harold Perkins Jr. at that point, but his freshman year was the year where he absolutely made me cringe when he was at LSU. Hate that, he's been dealing with these injuries, but having him back on that LSU defensive line this year is going to be crucial for that team.
Honestly, just having Nussmeier back there is such like a game changer. The dude can win you a game at any point. He's so good.
Well, and how many other teams in the SEC have quarterback questions coming into the year? How many teams have a new starter for the first time? I
mean,
think
everyone.
It seems like the whole
LSU
conference.
and Vanderbilt are the only two teams I think in the SEC returning their starting quarterback this year.
South Carolina, they've got
South
Sellers
Carolina,
back.
Lenore
Sellers,
Sellers.
yeah.
I can't believe I forgot about that one.
And Florida.
Yeah. Well,
12 games. But yeah, to your point, the leg waste came at the end of the year. But, like Ethan said, Nussmeier, he's the best quarterback in this conference. Everybody wants to talk about Arch and the talents there, but we've seen it with Nussmeier, and he's an absolute stud. So anytime you have that continuity at quarterback spot, that only helps your team out tremendously.
Yeah, and so Grant, who do you got as the team you're buying stock in this year in the SEC?
The one team I'm buying stock in this year, guys, is not because I love their roster and I think they're a great team, but just based off of this absolutely ridiculous schedule they have, and that's the Missouri Tigers. Eli Drinkwitz, whatever you say his last name. I like him as a head coach. He's the perfect fit for Missouri. He kind of brings that blue collar mentality to it. He's not going to try to be someone who he's not. And since he's been there, he's turned this program around. He's got the culture building in the right way. Again, that blue collar, Midwest feel to it. Because let's be honest, Missouri's not in the South. But you know what? Through conference realignment, they play in the SEC, but they're not a, quote, Southern state. And this team is more that blue collar kind of Midwest have feel to it. But look at their schedule, guys, this year. This is in the non-conference, they play Kansas. And I am glad Missouri and Kansas are playing that game in the non-conference. That's one of those college football games you have to play.
Absolutely.
So I'm glad they're playing Kansas, but besides that, their non-conference schedule, it's a bunch of nobodies. And also this year, they have no Georgia, no Ole Miss, no Tennessee, Texas, or LSU. They're three tough.
Happen?
They paid the SEC so much money to make the schedule. It's absolutely ridiculous. And then their three toughest games this year are Alabama, South Carolina, and Texas A&M.
Aren't they all
at home? All in Columbia.
Jeez.
I think their first 6 games are in Columbia too. So, like I said, I'm only just buying stock because I just think it has 2015 Iowa Hawkeye schedule all over it. And here's the thing. We're now in a 12-team playoff. So as long as they can go 10-2, there's a chance they could sneak in as the 11 or 12 seed in this thing.
Jeez.
Oh yeah, they could be the Tennessee this year.
Yeah.
And they also went out and got Bo Pribula, the transfer from Penn State, who was a really good player when they had him on. Penn State had him on the field and then transferred because of the whole.
Is he the guaranteed starter though?
I'm pretty sure.
I have no idea. I thought I saw maybe he wasn't going to start, but maybe I'm wrong. They spent a pretty penny on him, I'll say that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For what they're paying, he better be starting.
Right. But no, that's some wild stats there, Grant, on that schedule.
Mm-hmm.
But Hayden, who do you got? Team you're buying stock in the SEC this year?
Oh, and real quick, just I know Ethan on that schedule. I'm not going to say this right now because someone might talk about this other team, but look at Florida's schedule after week 4. It's absolutely criminal. It looks like an NFL schedule compared to what this Missouri team has. It's not fair.
Hell, after week 2.
Or yeah, week 2. Sorry, it's absolutely just asinine the schedule Florida has compared to what Missouri has.
Rough year.
Mm-hmm. But sorry, Ethan.
No, it's not my turn. It's Hayden's turn.
It's Hayden.
Yeah, sorry, it's Hayden's turn. That's right.
Well, Grant, it's funny you mentioned Florida because as tough as that schedule is, for some reason I'm buying, and it's not because my wife is sitting right here next to me who's a Florida fan. That's not the reason why I'm saying this. But
does she have a gun to your head, Hayden? Do we need to call 911?
I said it after last year too. Like Florida had so much momentum at the end of last season. You had that win at home against LSU. You had that win against Ole Miss in back-to-back weeks, and then of course everybody beat Florida State last year. I think that was clear. But then they had the bowl win, and then the recruiting at the end of like in October of last year. I think Florida was like ranked 55th in like the national recruiting poll. By the end of November, I think they were like 10th. So I mean, you saw a lot of momentum going on in that program, and it's not necessarily me buying stock in Florida. And I know I shouldn't probably put one stock in one player. It's me buying stock in DJ Lagway if he's healthy. I've been very high on this guy from the start. I think he is definitely a Heisman candidate if he's healthy this year. And I think if he's healthy and they can do what they're capable of, this schedule, yes, it's tough, but I think they can go 9-3, 8-4. And I think that would be a huge accomplishment with how tough this schedule is. You've got 4 ranked opponents on the road. You got to go to College Station. You got to go to Baton Rouge. Let me look it up, the other 2.
They got to go to Miami and to Ole Miss.
I honestly think they win that Miami game. I'm not sold on Miami, especially
same.
Especially with who their quarterback is. I'm not sold on that at all. We saw that matchup last year with Carson Beck versus DJ Lagway. And if DJ Lagway's healthy in that Georgia game last year, Florida has a shot to win it. So I'm buying a lot of stock in Florida. This schedule is brutal, but I'm a believer in DJ Lagway. That is literally one of the sole reasons why I'm buying this Florida team. I really think that they are capable of winning 9 games this year on that schedule.
And Florida, they returned 4 of their 5 starters on the offensive line, which is huge.
That too. Absolutely, they returned 4 of their 5 starters. I like I said, I have a gut feeling that Florida is going to be able to do some not shock the world, but like they're going to be able to pull something off this year. And Ole Miss was
and
the
6
other
starters on D.
Do what?
And 6 starters on defense too.
Yeah, and it's just. And again, it's just what I saw at the end of last season with how they were able to gain some momentum, win those 4 games in a row, and just kind of build off of that after the way the season started. I think they can build off of that and carry that into this year. So I'm really high on Florida. I don't know. The DJ Lagway effect, basically.
Yeah, very fun player to watch.
Oh, absolutely.
And Ethan, you're up. Who are you buying stock in the SEC?
I feel like it's kind of cheating to buy the number 1 team in the country, but they lost so much from last year. So it's actually shocking to me they even were voted the number 1 team, but their roster is so freaking loaded still. Like just with the talent and everything, like defense, they should have an All-American on all 3 levels, which is absolutely unheard of. Multiple like guys last year that maybe weren't starters, but they played a ton of snaps. So it's not like they're going to be bringing this all new defenses, particularly on the defensive side. Obviously, you have Arch. They return almost every one of their top running backs outside of Jaden Blue. And then they still have their super highly rated receivers. Ringo at the end of the year had a couple good games. And I'm pretty sure they have the number 1 receiver from the 2024 class coming in as well, which why you don't go to Ohio State is beyond me. But it's besides the point. This roster might be better in terms of talent than last year, which is really saying something.
That Texas defense is much improved too, from what I've been hearing.
Yeah.
Like they've really been. Yeah, that D line is going to be pretty sick.
Well, they're 4D tackle transfers. Like that's crazy.
They're finally getting adults in the room down there in Texas, which they didn't have. Like that was even when they played Washington a couple of years ago, when they had Byron Murphy and why am I drawing a blank? The big dude for the Titans now.
Oh my gosh,
Simmons.
Oh.
No, not Simmons. He was a rookie last year. Was he Sweat?
Yeah. Yep.
They didn't.
Sweat. Yeah. Montez.
They did. Yep. They didn't have that it factor in those big games. And you look at Texas last year. The 3 big games they played, they got dominated on the inside. And Ethan, to your point, Sark and his coaching staff, they just said, "Screw it. We're going to bring in four transfers to get this thing rolling." But also, just look at how they're recruiting on the inside. It's at such a stupid high level, and
just everywhere.
Everywhere. That whole roster is loaded. But yeah, if they can.
The question of everybody is Texas back. We can put that aside, as long as they don't completely implode. Sark doesn't leave to go to USC or something after Riley gets fired.
Arch turns into Tate Martell.
Yeah, like they're gonna be fine. Like they're back. Like let's
even if he turns into Tate Martell with that offensive line and those running backs, okay, hand the ball off and win like Ohio State did with Cardell Jones.
Yeah,
and just absolutely blow people off the line of scrimmage. It's gonna be okay.
Did they and the 2 running backs that blew out their ACLs in preseason last year? Are they back too?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah. That. Yeah. It's not fair.
Also, yeah, that's also not talked about either. But Ethan, we'll stick with you. What team in the SEC are you selling their stock?
You talked about him a lot about 5 minutes ago. I'm going LSU, and there's one main reason. It's Brian Kelly. All the dude does is choke. I'm not a fan of Brian Kelly. I never have been. But that's my reasoning. He chokes all the time, even though they have probably a top 3 quarterback in the country.
Well, guys, have you seen the stat? I saw it on social media. It was like 2010 to 2021. Playoff wins: Notre Dame 0, LSU 3, including a national championship. Notre Dame from 2022 to this last year, and then LSU. LSU, no playoff wins. Notre Dame, 4 playoff wins and a national championship appearance. What does that have in common? Brian Kelly was at one school, and Brian Kelly was not at one school during both of those times.
Yeah.
So Ethan brings up a very good point,
right,
about that, and there is proof.
He's not a big game coach.
No,
he's not.
The worst
I'm trying to
Alabama
think back.
team in the last 2 decades went into Baton Rouge last year and beat them by 4 touchdowns.
Well,
Hayden's still smiling from that game.
Hey, there was not a lot to smile about last season. That's one game I can smile about.
Well, Dylan, you'd be smiling if you're smiling when Michigan went in and beat Ohio State by 17 points a couple of years ago. Imagine if they put up another 11.
It was actually
or whatever.
It wasn't by 17. It was 20. It was 22. Yeah, 22 points. It was 45-23.
Imagine another touchdown.
That would be I guess 2 years from or next
Brian
year.
Kelly complain about how we're still rushing 6 with 10 seconds to go in the game.
That's such a Brian Kelly complaint.
Just take a knee, you pussy.
Yeah.
Run the ball.
He still had Nussmeier in the game too. So it's like you had your starters in. Why can't we have ours then?
Well, health and safety has never been a big concern of Brian Kelly. Well, we can all agree on that one.
Yeah, just don't let a scissor lift by his practice.
Did you see the LSU promo video? It was like, that's what it started with. It was like was a picture of like their scissors lift.
They have to not like Brian Kelly, and they just want him gone if they're posting stuff like that.
I know some people down there. They don't.
He's family.
They don't particularly care for him down there.
Interesting.
You know what's funny?
But
that coaching cycle in 21, 22.
The weirdest
weirdest, but they're all turning out to be just absolute flops. The two big fish at both their respective schools. And in return, you could argue Venables at Oklahoma.
Oh, that's right. He was part of that too. Yeah.
Well, yeah, because he had to take over for Riley.
He took a
Fickle, right?
He took a gamble going to Oklahoma.
Sorry,
I think Fickle was the year after that.
Fickle was the year after. Yeah, sorry.
Fickle and Venables. Venables, because Venables was his first year was against Nebraska. I remember that game.
Well,
when
yeah,
they went to Nebraska.
Yeah, but also
so that would have been 22.
Well, yeah, but Fickle was 23.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, it was Fickle and Rule in 23. But Hayden, back to you. Who are you selling stock in the SEC?
And again, I'm going with a gut feeling here. Like, I don't know. I have no logical reasoning behind this. I have absolutely none at all. But for some reason, my gut is telling me sell my Ole Miss stock. Can't tell you why. I feel like they're one of those teams that they've hit a peak, and now they got to figure out, okay, what kind of program are we going to be at this point? We've had back-to-back 11-win seasons or 10, 11-win seasons. Can they take that next step? And Lane Kiffin is such a weird coach to me. Like, I like the guy, but I just don't know if this year they've got that new quarterback, Austin Simmons, who everybody's very hyped about down there. But I don't know. For some reason, I am not buying this Ole Miss team. I know they've gotten a lot of transfers, and I mean they're always going to be in the transfer portal hunt. And I'm not saying they're not going to be good, but I'm just saying they're probably not going to be that 10-2, 11-1 that they have been the last few years, and maybe drop to an 8-4, 7-5 team. I don't know. I just feel like Ole Miss, there's times where they lose games they shouldn't, and I feel like this is going to be one of those years, especially with a new quarterback, that they're just not going to be very good. I don't know why. Like I said, I have no reasoning behind it, but I just have that feeling that Ole Miss is going to be one of those teams that just disappoints this year.
Their quarterback's left-handed. Because Simmons is a lefty, isn't he?
Yeah, he is a lefty. He is a lefty, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And he had that good drive against Georgia last year, but everybody knows Kirby sucks against backup quarterbacks. Like, that's always been his history, even at Alabama. He sucked against backup quarterbacks.
Well, and also
their schedule is interesting too, just the way it sets up, because they start with Georgia State, then they got back-to-back SEC games. They go to Kentucky, then have Arkansas at home, and then Tulane, which I think that's not going to be an easy game by any means. And then they have LSU at home. Then Washington State goes there. Oh, Jimmy Rogers gets his welcome to the SEC. And then they go to Georgia and Oklahoma. They have South Carolina at home, the Citadel, Florida, and finish in the Egg Bowl.
I feel like that Georgia part of the schedule is where the schedule gets interesting for them. They play Georgia. If they lose that game, how are they going to go into the next week at Oklahoma? Especially if, Mr. Betzall, whatever his name is over there, Mater, I forget how you pronounce it. Mateer. If he's cleared and he's playing, I mean, and you got to go to Oklahoma. That's another tough one right there.
He's going to be cleared. It's the SEC. We're going to let this slide, and I'm here for it.
And then there's South Carolina and Florida. I mean, that's pretty brutal right there. If they lose that Georgia game, and the Ole Miss of 2022 when they lost to Alabama and ended up losing 3 games they shouldn't have lost in a row, that there raises a lot of questions right there. Lane Kiffin, I don't know. I don't know. I just don't have a lot of confidence.
They also have to replace their entire starting defensive line, which was a big key last year of why they had the season they had is because they had a nasty defensive line.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's still living in Carson Beck's night dreams. You mean
nightmares?
Yeah, nightmares, dreams, same thing. But the way they were able to get into the backfield last year against Georgia. That's a huge thing. And that was one of the big reasons why I thought Ole Miss could be a playoff team last year, was because they had such a good defensive line and could get to the quarterback.
It's going to be hard to replace all of that. And they're a program. Until NIL came around, they were a program that, they peaked at 8-4, 9-3, and then they went back to their old ways of being a 4-8, 5-7 team every year. But I don't know. Like I said, they're not going to be terrible, but they're not going to be as competitive as they have been in the last few years.
Yeah, I can see it. Now, Grant, what team are you selling stock in the SEC this year?
So, Dylan, I'm kind of repeating, because if you remember when we did this last year, the team, we weren't buying stock or team I didn't trust in the SEC, which, sure, they made the playoff, but they got their ass handed to them. And if Alabama didn't want to turn the ball over 6 times, they would have lost to this team again. It's Tennessee. I'm out on the Volunteers. And honestly, I'm almost out on Josh Heupel, guys. I just don't think – I think they're a team where they're like the Penn State of the SEC. You have talent. You're going to win the games you should. But when it comes to nut cutting time, this program can't get it done. I think that playoff last year to Ohio State is going to linger. You lose Nico. You essentially just swap quarterbacks with the kid from UCLA. Okay, they had the 118th best offense last year in the country. I don't know if he's going to come in and change things up. I understand Heupel's system is all this and that, but you lose Sampson, you lose your running back. I felt like their defense last year, that was the year they were going to have it. I don't know. I'm just off on the Volunteers. And I don't know if Heupel and his coaching staff can truly build a winning program where they think they can be 10-2 every year. Like Hayden said, I think they might be an 8-4 team. But that's not going to get it done in Knoxville.
The fans will be calling for his head if they go 8-4. Mm-hmm. Things are going to get uncomfortable in Knoxville if Tennessee is 8-4 this year. But I mean, if you look at it, it's just like you mentioned with the quarterback situation and everything else. Is a repeat of last year possible? And there's a lot to replace. I just don't think it's possible. And look, I'm trying to not talk too much about Tennessee because I don't want this to come back and bite me on the third Saturday in October. But I don't know. I'm with you though. I'm with you. I think there's not a lot to like in Knoxville right now.
And the big thing, you look at that schedule, they play Georgia week 3, September 13th. That's go time. Because that's the team that Tennessee wants to be is Georgia.
Yeah.
If you ask me, they cannot stand the success Georgia has had, and they want to beat those clowns. Well, guess what? When you're doing it week 3, when you're playing them, you better be ready because you still got to play the rest of your SEC schedule. And if you're too emotionally high for that game in September and you lose that, it could snowball. And they're going to lose a game they shouldn't lose. It's what Tennessee does. You know, it's not going to be Arkansas this year because they got them in Knoxville. But there's going to be that one game where maybe they slip up. And then if Florida has that confidence going, can Florida get them this year now that it's in the swamp again like they did 2 years ago? Absolutely.
They beat Florida last year. Or Florida beat them last year.
No, Florida took them to overtime in Knoxville last year.
Mm-hmm.
When Graham Mertz
they
took over.
That's right.
But then you're going to Florida, you're going to Tuscaloosa, and I think they have Georgia and Knoxville.
They do. Oklahoma and Knoxville as well.
Yep.
They got to deal with the cowbells though.
Don't bring Brandon Walker into this. That guy is just an ugly clown who has an SEC bias, and we don't like him. But yeah, I'm out on Tennessee this year, guys.
I picked Illinois in my top 4 in the Big Ten because of Brandon Walker and his hate for Luke Altmaier. Like that was my inspiration behind it. But
that's it.
I mean the Vandy game's in Knoxville. I was about to say that could be, depending on if Diego Pavia can put his money where his mouth is.
You know, we thought the Ole Miss game was bad a couple years ago with the mustard and the beer cans being thrown. Diego don't know what's coming his way.
I'll say that I think Diego could deserve it though. If you watched him on the SEC on that Netflix doc, it was like, dude, you play at Vanderbilt. You've had like one good year. Like, chill out.
You know, congratulations, you guys beat Alabama last year.
Oh.
Move on. Sorry, Hayden, but
no, you're right. Absolutely, they did. I mean, congratulations to him. But my gosh, you took him to 7-6, and you act like you won a national championship, dude.
Mm-hmm.
Could that Syracuse game be a game where it gets a little tricky for Tennessee?
I was just gonna bring that up. Is like even Syracuse, because Dino Babers knows. No, he was the D coordinator at Georgia. He knows Tennessee well. He knows that Heupel offense well. So he might be able to have some trick up his sleeves to make that game interesting. Make the Vols sweat it out.
I could see that game just being ugly at this point. Like, not necessarily a Tennessee loss, but like it's one of those games where it's just ugly. Like ugly quarterback play and it's like 7-6 at halftime, maybe 6-3.
That might be you're saying it could be a Beth Mullins game?
Yeah, you basically.
That's
what we should do every year, or this week during on the show is we should pick. Everybody has to pick a Beth Mullins game of the week.
Whoever Northwestern is playing is the Beth Mullins game of the week.
But we're up to me, aren't we? Right?
Yep.
Yeah. Yes, we are.
Yeah. All right. The team that I am selling stock in this year is going to be the South Carolina Gamecocks. And now, if you look at South Carolina's seasons the last few years, or like their history, frankly, is they have a terrible year. They follow it up with a good year where they win some games they're not supposed to, are in a couple of games that they take some of the top teams in the SEC to the brink and can't quite pull it out. Last year, Shane Beamer was about to be fired, and he was able to right the ship. There were some people that were saying they should be in the playoff last year after they won 9 games. They lost in the bowl game to Illinois. They do bring back the quarterback Lenora Sellers. They got to replace their running back Raheem Sanders, who rushed for what did he run? I can't remember what he rushed. But they did get a replacement in Fazen from Utah State, who ran for 1,800 yards. But the reason why I don't have South Carolina, I'm selling South Carolina stock, is similarly to why I would sell the Ole Miss stock. Is they have to replace their top 2 linebackers and 3 defensive linemen who were all drafted in the first 4 rounds of the draft this year. And that's going to be a tough to replace, especially at South Carolina in the SEC. And I think their schedule actually right away sets up okay, and they need to win a couple of games that they might be the underdog in, if I can find it here, where they play Virginia Tech and Atlanta, and they have South Carolina State. That's a win. Vanderbilt. Then they go to Missouri, Kentucky, and then the schedule really picks up where they have to go to LSU. They have Oklahoma and Alabama at home, and then they go to Ole Miss and to Texas A&M, and then they get their SEC cupcake against Coastal Carolina, and then they got to finish with the rivalry game against Clemson. So, I mean, I think they're going to be good enough to win 7 or go like 7-5, 8-4, but outside of that, like there's some people that I've seen that thinks they can be a playoff team. I don't see it, especially with all the questions on the defense. I'm selling my South Carolina stock.
I'm not going to say too much because last year I was very down on Oklahoma, and then my team went into Norman in November and absolutely got flopped by Oklahoma by 3 touchdowns. So I'm not going to say too much about South Carolina because we have to play at South Carolina on October 12th. But, yeah, I could see that. Replacing that D-line is going to be tough. I mean, you still got Sellers, but I don't. It's going to be hard for them to repeat what they did last year. It's going to be very, very difficult.
Yeah, but let's go to championship predictions here, and I guess we're sticking with me. So who we have in the SEC championship and the winner? I got Texas versus LSU, a rematch from 2019. Texas, Ethan, you talked about you're buying their stock. I am too. The schedule is going to be tough, having to go to Florida, Georgia, and at Ohio State. But this is a weird Texas team. There's something about these Sark teams since they've played. They've had to go on the road and play in these hostile big environments where they actually really play well. And that's some of their better games. I mean, you look at a couple of years ago when they went into Bryant-Denny and beat Alabama. Last year, obviously, Michigan wasn't the team that it was, but going into Michigan and winning. And there's something about it where they play to get more together. Sark has some of his better game plans, and they execute efficiently enough to where they're not going to be bothered by the hostile crowd. They're not going to be worried about that. And potentially they have a chance to ruin Georgia's home win streak, which is up to like 54 games now or some ridiculous number.
That Georgia home winning streak is going to be tested multiple times throughout the season. If they can get through that, my goodness.
But I think Arch is the real deal. It's going to be very dependent on who's got some of the top picks in the NFL draft this year. It's going to be determined if he stays. Family has a history of kind of doing that, so I wouldn't be shocked if that's what they do with Arch. But I got Texas beating LSU 34-26 in the SEC championship game.
Dude's even got a score, and it's only August 13th.
Damn.
Why not? But Grant, who do you got?
Is it Ethan?
No, it's you because we're going snake style.
It is me. That's right. I'm sorry. Well, I'm going to agree with Dylan. I got Texas LSU. What do both of these teams have in common? The two best quarterbacks in the conference. We can talk all we want. We can talk until we're blue in the face, but football is a simple game. If you have the best quarterbacks, you're going to win a lot of games. And I would agree with you, Dylan. I think this LSU team, yes, Brian Kelly does scare you, but he can get to conference title games. He did this in his first year at LSU. And I think with the portal class he has and Harold Perkins coming back, second year in this defense, they're going to be just fine. And Nussmeier will take them places back to Atlanta. But like Ethan said, this Texas team is just absolutely loaded. When you're going to have a first-team All-American on all three levels of your defense, and you have a chance that two of the three might win their national awards, like that's just stupid. And I think this offense is going to change a lot throughout the year. If you ask me, it's going to start as a running, ground and pound team, play action, take shots deep to start the year. And as they get comfortable with Arch and more of the passing game, then I think you might open it up with all these skilled players to take shots down the field. And then how are you going to stop these guys? It's going to be tough. And I don't think LSU's defense is going to be able to do it in the title game. And I got Texas winning as well.
All right, Hayden?
Yeah.
Are we going to go 3 for 3?
We're 3 for 3 here.
Wow.
Texas, LSU. And when it gets, again, I mean, we talked about, the concern of Brian Kelly in a big game. I think that also plays a lot into this. Of course, Texas is loaded, like we've mentioned multiple times tonight. And I think that in itself is going to be the difference maker, but it's also Brian Kelly in a big game. I think Sark is probably learned a lot last year in the SEC championship game. But he's got a much better team this year to take to Atlanta. And I think they get it done. I think Texas wins it.
Well, I'm going to break it, guys. Sorry, we're not 4 for 4. I'm going Texas, Georgia. So I just think, I'm going Georgia until someone can beat them consistently. Like It's hard for me to pick against them, but I'll say
rematch actually too.
Yep.
So Georgia beat them. Georgia beat Texas twice last year. Does Texas return the favor this year? Then
They do. They do.
all right. Ethan's got the guarantee
Arch
here.
Adness.
This is the most like least talked about Georgia team that I can remember being talked about in years.
It's kind of
where there's really not a lot of expectations with them.
Well, did you watch that last game they played the year before?
That is true.
You watched that Notre Dame game, and you're just like, there's not a lot to talk about coming into the year. Things can change. It's Georgia. It's Kirby Smart. But
this would
they did not leave a good taste in your mouth.
Sorry. This would be the first year since 2013 that neither Georgia or Alabama would be in a team not named Georgia or Alabama would be in the SEC championship game. At least one of them.
Holy crap. That's
the last time that happened
true.
was Auburn and Missouri back in the Georgia Dome days in 2013.
Auburn, Missouri.
I was a freshman in college.
That
was the day Craig Bowl took the Wyoming job. That's how I remember that day.
Dang.
Interesting.
That was the last. That was the last year of the BCS.
Yeah.
That was before this current system. Man.
And then hell. But now you gotta now that I'm thinking about this, like outside of that year, you still have to go back because in 12 it was Georgia, Alabama. In 11 it was Georgia, LSU.
And then it was Auburn, South Carolina. And then it was Alabama, Florida, back-to-back years.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
we can keep going back.
Because then it would have been LSU, Tennessee in would have been
now you got my brain stretching a little bit here, Dylan.
Yeah, but all right. Well, Hayden, thank you for joining us. We'll hopefully at some point have him back on down the line as maybe as a midway point to discuss the current state of college football, how we're feeling about our predictions. But make sure you go check out his show. Make sure you like and subscribe on all of his platforms at Armchair Banner 1. He's going to have his SEC preview on his show. What day are you going to be doing that?
Sunday night. We just confirmed that.
Sunday night.
Literally right before I hopped on here.
So make sure you go tune into that on Sunday. Subscribe so you don't miss it. But thanks again, Hayden. We'll talk to you next time.
Yeah, man. Appreciate it. Y'all have a good night.
See you, Hayden.
Enjoy, Hayden.
All right. Well, that wraps up the college. Now we're gonna shift over to the NFL here, and we are going with the. We'll start with the AFC East here. Ethan, you just went last, so we'll stick with the snake. We'll just go down the line here. We'll start with our AFC East predictions here. So Ethan, start us off.
I think the first team of the winner division is pretty easy. The Bills. I don't think anyone really is close to them in this division. Patriots are second, Jets third, Dolphins last. I think the Dolphins' defense is so bad, and now Chop Robinson possibly could be hurt.
Yeah, I saw that.
He posted something on his Instagram story. It's not serious. I don't know. When you get carted off, it's not good news. But that defense is so bad. That secondary is just decimated with injuries already. I think they've lost 2 corners already to ACLs. They're going to have – if Tua gets hurt, my God, they might make the Saints look like a Super Bowl team.
Ethan, can I possibly sway your opinion here?
Sure.
I heard today that Mike McDaniel let me back up. So the last time it's been 24 years since the Dolphins have won a playoff game. To really reverse that, Mike McDaniel is scheduling all meetings to be 24 minutes after the hour for them to remember that was the last time they won a playoff game. Does that change your opinion of the Dolphins at all?
No, not really, no.
Okay.
That guy's such a loser.
Grant fucking hates that guy.
I hate that guy. Seriously, I watched him on Hard Knocks, and I was like, this guy is so into himself with the way he dresses. The sunglasses, the shoes. Shut up.
You don't like
What about
capris?
pants
You
that
don't
go
like
up
a
to
man
his
wearing
calves?
capris?
He can wear.
Yeah.
I don't. The fact he makes it about himself, and he doesn't back it up. Because when he's been there for what, 3 years now? When was the last time they won a game that they needed to win, where people were like, "Damn, the Dolphins are in a big game. They got to win this thing." Oh,
I
they
mean,
can't
I don't remember one in my lifetime.
because they always fall on their face. I mean, they beat the Rams last year on a Monday night. Okay, congrats to you. You could argue 2 years ago when they beat Dallas on Christmas Eve. Okay, that's a good win. But
Don't remind me.
at the end of the day, it's just like he's just such a flash. He wants to be a flashy guy, not a football coach. And I am just so out on the Dolphins. And he's going to get hired back in San Francisco again.
To be the running games are.
Yeah, who else is going to hire him? What has he done? Okay, you have Tyreek Hill and Jaylen Waddle. Congratulations, they run fast. Not like he's some offensive wizard.
He did make Johnny Smith look good.
Well, again, when you have Jaylen Waddle and Tyreek Hill, people are going to look good because they are wide open.
But Grant, who do you? What are your AFC East predictions?
He's got that Ivy League arrogance to him. You know what? The Ivy League used to matter 50 years ago, but now with the way our public education system is going, it sucks. So screw you in your Yale education, Mike McDaniel. On that note, the Dolphins are in last place in this division, for every reason I just said right there. I agree with Ethan. 1 through 3. Or one through 4, and the Jets are at 4 because I think the Jets are at 3. Excuse me, because I think they finally have a head coach. I think Aaron Glenn is going to be able to build this thing from the ground up. He comes from the Parcells eras as a player, and the Jets are finally going to be held accountable. They still have some issues on that roster and that offense to build up over these next couple of years. Is Justin Fields a guy? Is he a shoe-in? I don't know. But I will say this, they're going to play hard, and that defense is going to be good. They're going to have to figure this offense out, but you know what? In this division, they're better than Dolphins, and they're not anywhere near the Patriots and the Bills, so the Jets are the 3rd. And the Patriots are the 2nd in this division. I think they're going to be vastly improved. They're going to have a sense of urgency under Vrabel compared to Gerard Mayo last year. This roster still has holes. Everybody wants to talk about how great the free agency was on defense. Defense was never the problem in New England. When you bring in Stephon Diggs to be your number 1 as a 31-year-old coming off an ACL tear, it's a bit of a problem. A whole new offensive line. It's going to take.
To be fair, he has looked fantastic in camp.
Fair.
You see the video of him versus Akuda today?
I did not know.
Oh dear God! I'll send it. It's worst cooking I've ever seen.
I did not see that.
If I got it here, I'll send it to you.
But this offensive line, it's going to take a while to get together and be cohesive when you have 4 or 5 new starters, and Drake May's learning a new offense, and this Josh McDaniels offense is not easy to learn. And I think it's going to take the Patriots a while to get going. And like Ethan said, the Bills at number 1, they're the best team in the division. They have the best head coach. They have the best quarterback. They have the best running back, the best offensive line, and the Patriots might have a better defense, but the Bills are right up there. They'll have this thing wrapped up by Thanksgiving or the first week of December, like they always do.
Yeah, well, it's pretty much. I watched. He cooked them. Whew. I mean,
like
he had.
They're in Egan. My God, the corner's in like freaking Minnetonka. Like it's not even the same area code.
For me also, Buffalo. There's really not a whole lot to explain. They've been the best. Can they take that next step in the playoffs? Number 2, it's going to be New England. Vrabel. speaks for itself. That defense is going to be fixed. I think you're going to see the next step from Drake May. They went out and addressed the offensive line, added Will Campbell, and they got Stephon Diggs, who right now looks good. We'll see. Hopefully, are they going to be able to keep his attitude in check is a big question. If they're able to get back to that Patriot way of no ego, because I do think that if there's a team that's going to give him a short leash, they could be him, even though that contract is not favorable for that. But in the 3 spot, and I'm going to be a little bit different here. I actually have Miami at 3, and it's not because I'm high on the Dolphins in any stretch of the imagination. I don't think that they're gonna. I solely think by this that on the premise that Tua is gonna somehow stay healthy all year. Their training camp was nicknamed Camp Softy. And frankly, I mean, when the coach is scheduling meetings for 24 minutes after the hour, how can you go against that? That's just penciling him into the Super Bowl this year. But
it's because it shows he's not serious and he's not looking at this team. He's looking at the past, which is why he's going to get their ass handed to him this year.
And the only reason I have Miami over the Jets at the 3 and the Jets at the 4 is because I trust Tua a little bit more than I trust Justin Fields. I mean, you look back, Tua has not been the problem in Miami. I mean, he's led the league. He led the league in passing yards in 23. He led the league in completion percentage in 24. I think there's an argument that, and if you look what Miami is without Tua, it is. I mean, they still, for some reason, refuse to address the backup quarterback position at all. So I have Miami. Grant, I like what you said about the Jets. I think they finally have an adult. Quarterback, they got to figure it out. I think, it's been different with the Jets this year where their offseason, it's been a lot more quiet. Aaron Glenn has really buttoned things up where things aren't leaking, things aren't getting out like they used to. They've got some big contract moves to make. They got to renew Sauce Gardner and Garrett Wilson. And
didn't they get those done?
There's still...
I know they got Sauce done. I think they got them both done.
I don't know if did they?
I know they got Sauce done for sure.
Garrett Wilson contract. Oh, yes, they did.
Yeah.
Oh. All right. Well, they got both those done. Also, this is the Jets. The Jets have the longest playoff drought in the NFL currently. They haven't made the playoffs since 2010. That continues. And they might be joining the Manning sweepstakes, but I don't know if they're going to get it. Like I teased earlier, Peyton Manning actually came back for his senior year because he didn't want to play for the Jets. Could we see something similar with Arch Manning? It's possible.
They said from the beginning he's going to play 2 years of college, so I don't even know why it's like a question.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, and you know what? If I'm Arch, why would I want to leave Texas after 1 year? Because take away the NIL money and the roster and the coaching staff and everything else. The more experience you have playing in college, the better it matriculates to the NFL and having success.
Yeah, well, just those reps, those starts, those 2 years, it helps. It's very beneficial.
Oh God, yeah.
I also think it's really going to depend on what teams are picking at the top. Like, I think potentially, like if you say like the Indianapolis Colts are have the first pick in the draft, I feel like they would be like, yeah, you could go there. They'd feel comfortable sending them there, but
man, I don't know. I don't know if I'd want to do that. Following my uncle's footsteps.
Yeah,
that's tough.
That's tough.
It would be, but I think it's still like I think if there's anybody that could handle it, it seems it would be Arch. You hear Sark rave about him. You talk about like how he has the work ethic of both of his uncles. He's a grinder, and he's far more athletic than both of them. But we'll go to the NFC East here. The first place. There hasn't been back-to-back winners since the 03-04 season. That trend continues. Give me the Commanders to take first in the NFC East this year. Jaden Daniels coming off year 2. Cliff Kingsbury, I think he's found a perfect calling, and if he thinks about taking another head coaching job, I think he should be smacked because he's got as good of a thing going with Jaden Daniels as you could. They got to figure out that Terry McLaurin contract situation. They've got Bobby Wagner anchoring the defense. They brought in Javon Kinlaw. And then, the thing that worries me about the Commanders is the pass rush. Losing Jonathan Allen is really going to hurt them. But I think if there's anybody that can figure it out, I think it's a guy like Dan Quinn. He's a tremendous coach. He's coached in a Super Bowl, got this team, turned them around year 1. I think he's a very much a culture guy, getting everybody on the same page, flowing into the right direction, working together. Give me the Commanders. In the 2 spot, I have the Philadelphia Eagles, the Super Bowl hangover. I think Sirianni pegs me as the type of guy that he's gonna really milk this Super Bowl for as long as he can. They still have Barkley, but is this a year? And they got to replace both coordinators, or no, just the one. They got to replace their offensive coordinator. And then sounds like Dickerson is questionable to start the year. And I'm just going to go off of I trust Dan Quinn more than I trust Nick Sirianni, especially after a Super Bowl where he's going to really make sure everybody knows that he won a Super Bowl, which isn't very head coach-like. So I got the Eagles in the 2 spot. In the 3 spot, I got the Dallas Cowboys. Year 1 under Brian Schottenheimer. Can he fix Dak? Can Dak stay healthy? I think they've went out and they're trying to continue to address the offensive line. Luckily, Guyton's injury isn't as serious as they expected. Sounds like he'll be able to go in the first couple of weeks. They drafted Tyler Booker as a Zach Martin replacement. Cooper Beebe had a solid year at center as a rookie. I think he's going to be building off that. And then they went out and got Miles Sanders and Javonte Williams, and also drafted Jaden Blue. I think all 3 a bit of a running back by committee. And then they went out and traded for George Pickens. But I've seen Dak with 2 really good receivers, but I think where you really get to see Dak at his best is when he has that 3rd receiver, that Cedric Wilson, that Cole Beasley, the Brandon Cooks type guys that just know how to get open, kind of that reliable, almost an extension of the tight end, along with they have a good tight end in Jake Ferguson. Defensively was terrible. They couldn't stop a nosebleed. Who knows what's going to happen? The Micah Parsons contract, I think, is eventually going to get done because it always seems like those type of situations do. They'll work themselves out. But I got the Cowboys at 3. And in the 4 spot, I got the Giants. Now, that pass rush, good luck blocking anybody between drafting Abdul Carter, Thibodeau, Dexter Lawrence, Brian Burns. That's nasty. I don't trust the quarterback play, kind of similarly to what the NFC East or AFC East. I trust Dak more than I trust Russell Wilson or whoever they throw out. I bet Jackson Dart starts probably by week 6. And I just don't know outside of that pass rush. I don't know if that's going to be enough. And how often is Russell Wilson, until Brian Dable wants to strangle him because he's scrambling around, running around like a chicken with his head cut off, similarly to what happened with Russell in Denver. So I got the Giants at 4 here. Now, Grant, what is your NFC East looking like?
Well, as Hank enters the picture on Ethan's screen, the night just got better.
He's a pissed off
But
kitty.
Number
like,
one,
wow.
I have the defending Super Bowl champs because they're the best team in the NFL. And Dylan, your questions on Sirianni and him being emotional are very valid because he is the only person that can really slow this team down, if you ask me. And it's kind of sad. 2 years ago when they imploded, it was because they lost Big Dom and nobody else could keep him in check. But with that being said, the amount of leaders on this roster that they have that can keep their ship going, and with how elite this defense is going to be, as they bring everyone back, I just don't see anyone beating the Eagles. The last time I saw the Commanders play a football game, that defense gave up 50-plus points. Saquon was going crazy. Jalen could complete anything he had. And again, another new play caller in Jalen's ear. I think it's been 8 straight years with a new offensive coordinator. But I think that promoted within, the language is going to be the same. And they still have Saquon. In that running game, in that offensive line, the Eagles are going to be just fine. But I have the Commanders at number 2. And, Dylan, one name you didn't mention, but you bring in Deebo Samuel this offseason. If Deebo can get in shape, maybe lose 10, 15 pounds, and eventually this contract thing with McLaurin, they'll figure it out. He's just 30 years old, and he doesn't want to practice. He just wants to come in, get the season going. They have a really good running game. That passing game was developing as the year went on. He found a lot in Zach Ertz. I think Ertz is going to come back and have another big year. And then Deebo being that kind of joker gadget player like he was in 21 in San Francisco when he looked like the best receiver or the best all-around player in the NFL with Kyle Shanahan. I think Kingsbury is going to find a spot for him there. And this defense will only get better as the year goes on. And Dylan, number 3, I agree with you in Dallas. Some issues. A new head coach, not a sexy hire and shot hire, but hopefully someone that can bring some discipline to the Cowboys. I mean, how many times did we watch them last year where they'd have a big stop, a 15-yard penalty, an offensive hold, just an undisciplined team. One thing I think Schottenheimer needs to work on right now is the amount of fights in training camp. I understand people are competing and it's high energy, but you don't fight in a game. Don't be fighting in practice because that's what leads you to have all these stupid mistakes in games. The Parsons thing, it'll work itself out, but still, if you ask me some questions on that defense, you lose DeMarcus Lawrence. Outside of Parsons, do we have another guy we can trust to get after the quarterback consistently to make everyone uncomfortable? We'll see. And the Giants, guys, this might be the worst team in the NFL. This offensive line is trash.
And that's a take.
I don't see it. Neighbors is a stud, but I don't trust the offensive line. I don't know if they're going to be able to have a consistent running game. Neighbors is going to be getting double teamed left and right. Russell Wilson's 36 years old. Jackson Dart is a young guy who, when he snapped the ball at Ole Miss, he clapped. He never did a cadence or anything like that. He's going to have such a learning curve right there. And yes, Dylan, that front 4 is nasty. But their offense, I think, is going to consistently put them in a bad spot where they're going to get tired. They're going to get worn out. And that secondary and those linebackers, there's no difference makers there. So if this pass rush can't get home within 2 seconds, there's going to be a lot of holes and a lot of voids for people to get open, where I have no faith in the G-men this year. So they'll be coming up in the rear.
Ethan, what do you got for the NFC East?
Well, Eagles for sure. I still have them going, winning it again. I'm a little different though. I have the Cowboys second, actually. I think that offense is going to be so explosive. I just think Dak is going to have a great year, bounce back year, even without like a great running game. Just having Pickens, who obviously they've had decent receivers next to Lamb. They've never had a guy like Pickens who was also a wide receiver 1. Let's just call it what it is. The dude put up 1,000 yards, 3 or 4 seasons with the Steelers and with some of the worst quarterback play we've seen in a long time. He's going to have 1,000 yards as well. Then I'm going to the Redskins. They need to get a better run game going if they're actually going to take a step forward. Defense isn't fantastic. They probably won some games last year. They probably shouldn't have, if we're being completely honest. And teams are going to start making it harder on Jaden Daniels. Like, yes, he had a great rookie year. Look at CJ Stroud. Great rookie year, too. Doesn't mean it's going to happen again. They're going to have to take steps, and no offense. I don't think Debo is that guy to help him. And they need to get Terry signed and back in camp, or else that's going to be a disaster, too. And then last, I got the Giants.
Jaden Daniels 1-7 against playoff teams last year.
Yeah.
And that one playoff win was against the Eagles when Jalen Hurts didn't play for half the game, or 3/4 of the game.
Week 18 or something like that? 17?
Yeah, it was like week 15 or 16. It was late in the season, I remember.
It was late in the season, yeah.
Yeah,
it was the last time the Eagles lost. Yes.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, because it started 2-2, and then they went on that hot streak. They lost that game, and then, ripped her through the playoffs.
Yep.
But, all right. Well, that wraps it up. We're going to have the Big Ten and NFC and AFC North next week. As we also will, Zach Willis and I will be doing an NDSU episode on Tuesday live on YouTube next week. So make sure you tune into that. But before we wrap up this show, Grant, what do you got for us for Curveball of the Week?
Well, question, Dylan. Do you want us to say if we have playoff teams from these divisions too, or no?
We'll do that before week 1. How about?
Okay.
Fair enough. So yeah, curveball of the week. As some people may have heard, that girl named Taylor Swift was on the New Heights podcast this week, talking
Who's
about
that?
her new album. She's apparently a singer.
Oh, okay.
Blonde,
is she good?
Brunette hair. She's pretty popular. I enjoy some of her
14
songs.
Grammys, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, she's won 14 Grammys. One album had like 1.76 billion streams on Spotify when it came out. So in a week, so she must be.
Is she a cult leader?
Yes.
It depends on what side of the internet you ask. She can divide a room very fast. But with that being said, she announced her new album coming out.
Are her fans fun to piss off?
They're easy to piss off.
Okay.
And if you enjoy pissing people off, then they are fun to piss off. Yes.
Oh, good to know.
Yes. But with their new album coming out, I'm just curious, guys, what was the first album or CD you heard and you memorized every single song on there, the first one in your life? Because we all have a couple where we're we know every single song of this album. What was that first one?
I have no idea.
First one or favorite.
Favorite might be a little bit easier because now you don't have to buy CDs. You can just go onto iTunes and it's all on there.
Yeah.
I don't want to say Morgan's latest one, but the double album. I would say that one.
His first or second double album?
Second.
Let me see here. I'd probably say Eric Church's Mr. Misunderstood album. I would probably say that one. That would be the one.
I remember the first one I remembered was just because, this was when we were in 3rd, 4th, 5th grade. Because back then cars only had one CD player, so you could only listen to the radio or the CD. But it was an Alan Jackson album that my mom and dad absolutely loved.
Oh.
And I think that the title of the album was called Drive.
Oh, that's a good song. I know what song I know what you're talking about. Yep.
Yeah, so
that is a good one.
That was the first song on the album, and that was also what it was called.
That's a good call. I like that. That's a good answer. That's the best answer I mean, that one you like dunked on both Ethan and I balls in the face style on that one, Grant.
Mhm.
So
Well,
Yeah.
but it is easier when you come up with these questions.
yeah,
Because I've
that's
been
true.
kind of-
You've had time
you know,
to stew on them for a
been
while.
stewing on it all day. And boom, I just hit you guys in the face with this, and you're like, "What the hell is this?"
But all right, well, I think that wraps up this week's episode. Thanks to everybody who has tuned in. We'll make sure you like, subscribe, rate, review 3GTB podcast. We'll be back next week, like I said, Big Ten, AFC, and NFC North previews to pick as that concludes this week's episode. Thank you guys for tuning in. We'll talk to you next week.